They say all men are created equal. Shot! Master! I pull out the Glock! Full of suffering succotash, son!
One of your nuts is hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hello everyone, I'm Lucy and I'm joined by Estelle and we're back for another episode of the Too Sweet podcast. And it's not your usual Thursday recording, it's a Monday. And that means we've had a pay-per-view last night. It was Dynasty. And I mean, yeah, we didn't do a Dynamite review last week. We skipped it out because of our very special roster tier ranking. Do go watch that if you haven't already. But yeah, I'm excited to get into Dynasty because it feels like there's a lot to get through, but we literally just said just before we started recording there's a lot. But there's also like not a lot at the same time. It's weird. But I'm looking forward to getting into it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the name Dynasty, I think it was a revolution. I said it was just status quo. This was also a very status quo pay-per-view. And for myself, I did not stay up last night to watch it. I watched it today because for me, obviously, we didn't get to do the Dynamite review. So I just want to go into, before we start talking about it, just expectations and kind of where we were at. So for me, I did enjoy the go home show, but I think this pay-per-view could have really benefited by having another 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, just to build up everything that it was kind of trying to do. I mean, some of it you can't because it's the Owen Hart tournament and you don't really need to build for a fucking qualifying round to get into the semis, do you? But yeah, I thought I suffered from that. At the same time, though, the way they've set it up, they're like, yeah, there's Dynasty, then we're going to have Double or Nothing, and then the winners of the Owen Hart Cup in that pay-per-view will go on at All In, I believe. So it's like this is kind of a C-tier pay-per-view is the ways it's being presented. And as I said in last week's Dynamite review, you can't have every pay-per-view firing on all cylinders. You know, WWE also does the 12 pay-per-view system, and they have the big four. You know, so that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is a shame because you know, you in an ideal world, you want every single pay-per-view to be huge and to live up to big expectations, but it's not realistic. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, I think you're right. I think a couple more weeks to build to some of the things on the show would have definitely been helpful. I thought last week's Dynamite was really good. I think there was some hot stuff on it. My memory isn't great, but because it's...
I mean, the Willow stuff was standout for me.
Oh my God, yeah.
She was on top form.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not... Missed her on this. Just really missed her at Dynasty. I don't know why we keep on building up to her and then just having nothing. I hope it's building to something big. I know like they wrote her out and that was the point. She was injured and, you know, so she couldn't be here tonight. That was the idea of it. But yeah. And Swerve getting powerbombed onto that broken glass. That was crazy. That was like really fucking violent for an episode of Dynamite. Wasn't expecting that at all. I feel like in that sense, like the stakes were set pretty high for this pay-per-view, and I don't know if they were able to top that. You know, like set like with that feud, setting that precedent of oh my God, broken glass shards in his back. I don't know if that match lived up to that.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, so I didn't stay up for it because I could tell how it was going to go, and granted, there were a few big talking points that you know I'm excited to talk about where things swerved and I didn't expect these things to happen, but on the whole every match was predictable practically. You knew who was going to win going in. Again, that's not criticism. I'm not saying let's go do some Russo Vince McMahon booking of just wild cards and swerves for the sake of it. I think, you know, logical makes sense, especially when it comes to tournaments and things like that, and especially when it's the opening rounds. Things are going to be logical, i.e. the first match where Ospreay was obviously going to win. But at the same time, it's not a huge incentive to stay up. I guess the only incentive I really had was what's going to happen with the Death Riders thing. But I kind of trusted my gut in that it never really felt for me and you that it was believable that Swerve was going to overcome Moxley.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like the right moment. And
Yeah.
obviously I was proven right by that. So, yeah.
Exactly. I think that well, obviously we're going to get into that match. There was I think that match was good, and there was a particular moment in that match where I thought, oh, maybe Swerve is going to do it. But yeah, other than that, I wasn't really convinced. And that's not a chatting shit about Swerve. He's excellent, or Moxley for that matter. But yeah, the build wasn't such that I believed it was going to be pivotal in the Death Rider story. Just think that some of the tournament matches, some of the choices for tournament matches could have been swapped out for different ones. Or maybe the brackets could have worked out a bit differently. Like, I understand you want Ospreay on the pay-per-view, but that match felt like it would have maybe been better on Dynamite. I would have really liked to see who the wild card is on this pay-per-view facing Hangman. Maybe we could have swapped them two around. I don't know. It just felt some of the matches I felt didn't really live up to the. Not that they weren't great. It wasn't like, for example, taking the Ospreay match for example, which was the first one on the card. Excellent match, yes, definitely. In terms of in ring a pay-per-view caliber match, yeah, 100%. But like it just, like you talking about, would it motivate you to buy the pay-per-view to stay up and watch it live? Not for me personally.
It's not a draw, brother. But the thing is, this pay-per-view was a lot of wrestling, and it was a lot of good wrestling. It was a bit of a change of pace from what we've been having the previous months, while also maintaining the status quo and the everlasting thread of the Death Riders, which you can't really get away from. But yeah, overall, it was just a lot of exhibition, a lot of good wrestling, which is great. But it was quite fatiguing. So I'm glad in the way that I watched it. Of like, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if I'd have stayed up and watched it in one bulk. Watching it an hour and a half, I watched it in three chunks, an hour and a half at a time, had a bit of food, went and did something else, and then I could really appreciate the matches for what they were. But there were still points where I was coming in and out because I was like, I don't know how to describe it because it just sounds so stupid to moan about, like, oh, this is a lot of good wrestling, but it's like your brain goes onto autopilot when you know how things are going to outcome. I suppose that's kind of the point that I'm getting at, and that kind of leans into the fatigue. But as I say, I feel like I walked into the shop, I gave Mr. Tony Khan the money, and Mr. Tony Khan he gave me my money's worth. He didn't give me more, he didn't give me less, he just gave me what it was worth, and that's fine. But I just wanted to set up by just saying that I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this was the most amazing pay-per-view in the world. I'm also not going to sensationalize it and be like, this was the shittest thing I've ever seen. It just it was a very B-tier, B-grade pay-per-view in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. And I wish I had enough time to do what you did, would like watch it in different like stints, because I watched part of it before work, like half an hour or so, like 2 matches ish. Watched one match on my lunch break, and then the rest was like all after work. And I was very fatigued, just wanted a little nap. And like you say, it was just like quite a lot of, I want to say like the same stuff. It sounds a bit harsh, but it was really. And just like, you just didn't pull my attention span really. Like with an episode of Dynamite, for example, it's mixed in with like promos and stuff and other bits and pieces, so it's more sort of engaging in that sense. And not at all saying that these matches weren't engaging, because they were, but I completely understand where you're coming from, completely agree, because I'm in the exact same boat.
Yeah, these matches are like the building blocks for greater things, which is great, and I can have the patience for that. But it's, as you say, couldn't some of this have been done on Dynamite? And a lot of these matches I felt like the type of match you'd see on Dynamite, in the regard of you'll have that really great 30-minute long match that maybe it won't be the main event, but Fletcher versus Briscoe, the open match, a lot
Yeah.
of the Owen Hart matches, but even some of the title matches felt like they wouldn't have been out of place just on a great episode of Dynamite. This just
Yeah.
felt like a 4 hour episode of Dynamite minus the promos. You know, there wasn't any like stips, there wasn't any crazy blood feuds, there wasn't, in my opinion, other than perhaps the FTR thing, any crazy implications or crazy, I don't know, fallout. I mean, maybe like the book stuff as well, but you know, it wasn't. It just wasn't very consequential. It was good, but it wasn't consequential.
Yeah, exactly that. There wasn't like big. I mean, I don't know. There was big. I was gonna say big story beats. There was, but like
Yeah, and the MJF stuff as well.
not dead. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Like not so much that they stick in your head. And it's
Yeah,
not like I come onto this being like, oh, we've got to talk about this big thing that happened in Dynasty. There was there was just multiple like medium stake things that happened.
other than the books at the end, which
Well,
really
yes,
popped me. I
of
thought that was
course,
hilarious.
of
That was
course.
hilarious. But we'll actually get into this because, yeah, as I said, there is a lot of stuff to get through. So the opening match, um, JR on commentary, and it was Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight. I understand that Kevin Knight has had a good showing, but it feels wild opening a pay-per-view um, with him. I know that it's with Ospreay, and you know there was three newish people on this pay-per-view. You've got Kevin Knight, you've got Megan Bayne, and you've got Mike Bailey. Um, so yeah, I just think it's a choice. So at the start of the match,
Yeah,
I was like, I've seen Kevin Knight's in ring work. I'm aware that he's good, but this is like a huge opportunity. So is he gonna step up to that? Was my question at the start of the match.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I was surprised that it sort of seemed like they pulled the trigger on him straight away. Like it was
They're doing
very,
that a lot.
yeah. That's like a common theme lately, isn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, feels very TV, even more so when you know he's gonna win. Uh,
Yeah,
I liked how there was a lot of big moves in this match, but there was lots of time to breathe, which I didn't feel so much with the Toni Storm Megan Bayne match. I did feel with this that there was lots of time in between and for the crowd to react to both Knight and Ospreay in the respective places, and I feel like that
yeah,
really helped him get over um, in this match. There's crazy series of moves has to be expected. The Styles Clash to the DDT counter to Osprey, and you know I just want to talk about. Again, I'm not trying to be super negative or anything, but just a question point. I'm kind of getting to the point with Osprey where I feel like it's kind of getting into Derby territory, where every match there kind of has to be a dangerous spot, and I feel like it comes from a place of wanting to be the best and you know wanting to prove how much he loves AEW, how much he loves wrestling, how it's his passion, um, and that he's there. You know, he's a real team player, and I've always said that. But I just feel like in certain matches and certain situations, I just don't feel like he needs to prove himself, and that's kind of what that comes across to me. Like you don't need to keep doing these super dangerous moves. It kind of takes me out of it.
yeah, yeah. I felt like there was quite a lot of that on this show, like in quite a lot of matches, like very dangerous spots. But no, I think you're right about Osprey. I think that's a good point. Like you say, he doesn't need to prove himself, and if you're doing it a lot, then it loses its impact. So yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Um, I mean, yeah, he's obviously a great wrestler, and you get accustomed to seeing him doing like big spots and stuff. But he's perfectly capable of putting on a brilliant match without, you know,
Yeah,
something quite that extreme.
it's not so much that it loses the impact. It's just I have a concern about him getting injured.
Yeah.
And as well, speaking of injuries, oh my God, what a terrible time to
Jay
yet
White.
again be a Jay White fan. But also, shout out to Matt Davis as well. My heart absolutely breaks for those two because
I know,
the
it's
injuries
rough,
they've
isn't
gone
it?
through, the momentum, they finally, both of them started to gain a bit of motivation, a bit of momentum. And to have just the rug pulled out from both of the feet, I feel absolutely terrible for them.
Yeah, it's shit. It's fucking shit.
But yeah, it's less so the impact of oh well I've seen that before. It's
Mm.
more just I'm genuinely worried about you, and I feel like you're such an asset to AEW right now that if you go out on injury for 9 months, that's gonna have a big impact. And
Yeah.
especially with how many heels we've got at the moment, like you are the shining babyface, you are the mascot, you are the shining light, you are such a draw. A lot of people will have just bought a ticket to see Osprey, even if
Yeah.
it's just against not to patronize Kevin Knight, just against Kevin Knight. But you know what I'm saying. He is a draw in and of himself.
Yeah.
That's how it kind of takes me out of it. Of like,
Oh
ooh.
yeah,
But then
100%.
I know he's a professional and he's been doing it for a long time, and it's probably totally safe and he knows what he's doing. But it's just something I just wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I think it's totally valid. Totally valid. It's always going through my head like, don't hurt yourself. Just
Don't hurt
just
yourself.
don't. Simple as. Wrestlers take this advice, just don't hurt yourself.
If only it was that simple, right? Kevin Knight, yeah, he's looking really strong, especially in the last act. The counters, the near falls, and again, as we always say, you don't expect, they're not going to win, but they make you believe that they might, And it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, and that's a sign of great wrestling. The crowd were really behind
Yeah.
Knight, which is impressive considering how hot Osprey is. For them to be just as into the idea of Kevin Knight winning because they were just getting so carried away with the match is a credit.
Hmm.
But it was the Hidden Blade for the win. Did the risk pay off? I mean, I would have preferred to have had the match on Dynamite, but yeah, I guess it did pay off. I think it did pay off in this regard. I think Kevin Knight did get over. I think it was a great hot match to start with, and yeah, while it might not have been my choice to have put it on this way, I do think that he got a good showing and he got some momentum from this. So yeah, I can't really argue. And also, I just want to say another point. This guy lost, and I know Megan Bayne went on to lose later in a really yeah
Interesting, man.
interesting. That's one way to describe it. Just because a new person comes in and they lose doesn't mean that they look weak. I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
not
better for
burying them.
someone to come in and lose equally in the same way of Speedball's booking. And I understand that these two guys have a totally different build and totally different ring style to Megan Bayne. They're more high flying, they're more. I can't think of the word. My brain is very dead tonight. I feel like I'm hallucinating looking into the camera. But you know my point.
Yep.
I understand that, but I feel like it's more interesting to watch someone new chase something rather
Yeah.
than just snap it up.
Yeah. Well, of course, that's like the essence of wrestling, isn't it? Like, it's not the what's the there's
The
something called
destination.
it's
It's
something,
the
yeah, like
journey.
something like that. Yeah, well, basically that in essence, but like it's the chase that people enjoy. It's not the yes, the payoff is always very satisfying, but that's the build up is the best bit. That's what people enjoy the most. So yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, I think Kevin Knight like matched Osprey's energy in this, and I feel like it was a great opportunity for him, and I think he sees the opportunity. I thought it was a really nice way to start the show. Yes, I feel like it probably would have been better on Dynamite, but it is what it is. Like I don't think it was bad or anything like that, and I did enjoy it. Um, and I really enjoyed JR on commentary. I feel like I probably say that every time he's on commentary, but bless his heart, I just love him.
Yeah. Yeah, because even when it's simple and it's like, oh, what a match, it just means a lot coming from him and his
Yeah,
uh, wealth of experience. And yeah, the whole Dynamite thing, like it being on Dynamite, and it is wild paying 50. $50 for a pay-per-view to watch, Ospreay go against Kevin Knight, in my personal opinion, with the cost of living crisis, guys. But, I guess it's compensated by the fact that there was so much wrestling, which again is two avenues. You get the fatigue, you get whatever, but there was so much. I think part of it was due to, I've heard the Bandido and Jericho thing wasn't really finalised until last minute, which was why they threw on Fletcher and Briscoe, just in case that didn't happen. But it did, so then they put both matches on.
What, that they didn't know the match was going to go ahead?
Yeah, I think it's visa. I think it's like visa issues.
Oh, shit.
It might be another issue. I'm like I say,
that's interesting though.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we had a Big Bill with Brian Keith versus the Hurt Syndicate. This was another predictable match. You could tell the outcome from a mile off.
Yeah.
But I really did enjoy this match. I really liked MVP being sold as a manager by going in and advising to help the Hurt Syndicate. When Big Bill came in out of the gate, he was just dominating him, and then him taking off his headset, going up and walking up and strategizing with him, and then them gaining the advantage. It was very refreshing, rather than just seeing a manager be like, "What are you doing?" Or like, "Oh, they're going to be fine. Like they always do this." I feel like you see that a lot from Don Callis, which I guess makes sense because Don Callis is more like a slimy. He's not really a helpful guy. He's just
he's not really
there
helpful.
for the. He's just latching on for the clout, and he's big Don Callis. Whereas I guess MVP is more. He's a different manager. He's more involved. He's more intelligent. That's why MJF wants to be a part of this faction. It's just a little detail, but I really appreciate it.
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I love that. That's such a great attention to detail. Just proving like that he's such a good manager. He's not content to just sit back and watch, but also he's not cheating. He's actually doing something helpful to help them get on the upper hand, and yeah, like they went in after that to, they got the upper hand. So clearly he gave good advice. It just it's very simple but effective way of making him just seem like a brilliant manager.
Yeah. And, the match wasn't another Outrunner's private party situation in that it's just the faces getting in their shit and then the Hurt Syndicate kind of do a squash match at the end. It was very involved, and I really enjoyed Brian Keith, but I really enjoyed Big Bill because obviously he's of their side, so that was really interesting because how often are you going to see him get, have that kind of physical match with someone.
He made them look short. I mean, that's just not normal.
Yeah, the match concluded in an exciting way because MJF was in the crowd and he gave a cheap shot to Bill with the dynamite diamond ring, and the Hurt Syndicate were able to pick up on the victory. Not a lot of happy campers. Hurt Syndicate are not happy. Obviously, Big Bill was absolutely incensed. Had a great camera shot of him, and commentary put over the fact that MVP didn't know by his reaction. He didn't know, so there was a lot of interesting wrinkles. And another little bit of attention to detail that I love that MVP did at the end was he took his headset off and walked up before they'd even put the pin in. Like,
oh, I didn't notice
Bill
that.
and Brian Keith, yeah, they'd been distracted and he'd done his move and then he hadn't even gotten down to pin. He was like, right, bye guys, took his headset off and just strutted up. I just loved it. It was just like another little attention to detail, but I was like, oh, you're the man, MVP. You're the man. I want an MVP self-help book. I would read it.
Yeah. I just need him on my
Motivational
shoulder,
book.
just giving me advice at all times. Just a little mini MVP.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling that MJF was going to be involved. It was interesting that like MVP didn't really know about it, and Bobby and Shelton were like fuming, but then they won the match. So like interesting dynamic. I will say I agree with what you said. I enjoyed it, but I did have some issues with this, and I'll explain it. So throughout, Big Bill was definitely like the focal point of this. I kind of felt like Brian Keith was just like an extra. Like sort of like Big Bill featuring Brian Keith. That's the vibe I got. And then this was like corroborated at the end when Bad Apple was the one who ate the pin. But he wasn't even the one who got hit by MJF. Big Bill was. So that didn't make sense to me. So I feel like Bill's clearly being protected, and Brian Keith is like for lack of a better term, sort of like the scapegoat. I felt like it didn't really benefit anyone apart from furthering the MJF storyline, which, yeah, is interesting, but there's a lot of other really good guys here who I just wanted to just a bit more. And it's just especially at Brian Keith's detriment.
You are like the #1 Brian Keith freaking defender.
Yeah, Brian Keith's stand #1 over here. Like,
You
why are they doing my
actually
boy
are.
like this?
Like on the tier list, like I didn't even see a problem with it. I'm just like, oh, he's just Bill's the star, and you're like, no, we need to start paying attention to Brian Keith, and I'm
Well,
like,
it's not-
hot damn, maybe we should,
It's not fair,
because
though,
I didn't
is
even
it?
pay attention to this.
It's not
Yeah,
fair.
but Bill is,
They're a team.
but Brian Keith in this match was very small. Like he's very small and very tiny and very angry, and he's great. He's a great guy, but you know what I mean? Like Big Bill was the muscle. He was like the weight behind
Yeah.
it. He was
but
kind of carrying it a bit.
I know.
physically.
Yeah, right. Yes, you're right. But your team, so like Big Bill, he's the big guy. That's what he brings. You know, he's very hard to get down. He's very strong. Brian Keith should also bring something to the table.
What is
It's
Brian
really-
Keith bringing to the table? What did he bring to the table in this match?
Well, that's my point. He wasn't given the opportunity to bring anything to the table. He should be. He should be given something, or else he just looks like a freeloader. And it doesn't. I don't think that benefits anyone apart from making Big Bill look really big and strong, which he doesn't need because we can physically see he is a big and strong guy. Like, I don't know. It's a team. They should be.
Okay.
They should both bring something to the plate. That's just my opinion about Brian Keith. I don't know, I didn't realise I felt so passionately about this until I started speaking about it.
Yeah, it's very convincing. Like, because
I
during
just
the
felt
tailors,
for him
I
in
was
this
like,
match.
I didn't think he should have been in the higher tier, but you were really riding for him. So I was like, damn, maybe Brian Keith is that guy. And then listening to you talk now, I'm like, damn, Brian Keith. But I was just so locked into MVP, I think, just watching and listening to everything MVP was doing. I loved it when he was like, oh, you know, to Taz, Lashley would never do that to you. It was something like, oh, he couldn't beat you, Taz, because like you're better than him. And then he was like correcting himself, and he was like, no, you wouldn't do that because he'd have too much respect for you. It's just, I just love MVP so much. That's my conclusion.
I think that's a better conclusion to come to. I feel like MVP in the Hurt Syndicate is much more Hurt Business, much more important than the team they were facing. But I've
Yeah, but
just
they didn't
decided
wrap it up completely though. The fact that it wasn't a clean victory kind of says to me that, you know, they're gonna, and especially with the way the Jericho match ended, it feels like they're gonna go off and strategize and regroup and either get more vicious or go and do something else. But you know, I didn't feel like it completely shut their momentum. That's what I mean. It felt like a very different match compared to, and I know that's because they had the MJF element, but very different compared to the Private Party and Outrunners, where it just felt like the momentum ended because they'd versed the final boss and they'd lost clean. So where did they go now?
Yeah.
There's more for Brian Keith's future, Lucy. Don't worry.
You're right. There's room
There's
for
more
Brian
apples
Keith
on
to
that tree.
grow. Yes, absolutely. Didn't realise I felt so passionately about apples, but
move on to the women's bracket now. We had Monet versus Julia Hart, which was a very intriguing combination. Definitely, I believe, some people's dream matches. I think when Monet came over, this was one of the matchups that a lot of people talked about wanting to see Julia Hart. So I was very interested to see how this would go down. We had Harley Cameron and Mini Puppet Monet watching on, and later Athena was shown watching on, which was spicy. This was a match with, I liked the word the commentators used. They described Julia as having a lot of poise, which I'd never really thought about before, but I thought that was a great way to describe her wrestling.
yeah.
Which is interesting because she is so young, but she wrestles like a veteran in the way she holds herself, and her physical ring intelligence is really strong. And so it to me, it just felt like two veterans going at it with each other, and it felt like there was a lot of trust between the two of them. And so even when things didn't go as expected, it just felt really well put together. Even when things didn't go as expected, I just felt like they trusted each other, they had trust in themselves, and that came across to me.
Yeah, I agree. It came across, I think, with like the reversals and things. There was lots of really clever sort of counters and quite smooth wrestling, like a really nice transition from A to B. So yeah, you're absolutely right with that. And as well, like the fans were really hot for this one. Like they were really into it. They very much wanted Julia to win. And I think, yeah, I just think the two of them did really well in building up sort of like the tension, and getting the crowd into it.
Yeah. And they were wrestling all around the ring, all outside the ring, every part of that bloody ring. The meteora onto the outside of the ring to Julia Hart. It was highly physical.
Yeah.
And nobody gained a clear advantage at any point either. Like I say, it was very
Yeah, it
much
was 50.
through the reversals and A to B to B to A to C to A to B. It was very fast paced and well put together, and that was enjoyable. The whole match was a struggle between them both, and that felt very exciting in a tournament format, and it kind of added a bit of unpredictability to this match, which the others on this card didn't really have so much, I thought.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, it could have gone either way. I thought it could have been a really interesting concept for Julia to sort of steal it. I think there was a point where I thought that Mercedes was going to tap out, I think. And yeah, like the closing moments were very tense. There was a lot of near falls. There was a lot of moments where either of them could have tapped. And I thought that would have been a really interesting concept if Julia could beat Mercedes when the title's not on the line. And then, like, okay, so that means she must be number one contender. And then what do you do going forward with that? I thought that would have been a really interesting concept, like having Mercedes lose but still protecting the championship. So I don't think this was. I mean, I guess realistically, you sort of knew that Mercedes was probably most likely going to win, but I didn't. Yeah, like you said, it wasn't as predictable as some of the others.
Yeah, I suppose maybe they didn't want to muddy the water too much when they want to do Athena
Yeah,
and Mercedes.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So I suppose that maybe they didn't want to make it too complex
yeah,
of a loss, because, like you say, then you'd have to write Julia Hart in, and maybe that's not. But they could do that. I think that would be fine, because you can never have too much women's wrestling, and they could keep it on the back burner and come back to Julia Hart after Athena. But I think, knowing the way that they think, it's just, yeah. But yeah, there was lots of moments of pivot. The moonsault, Mercedes getting her feet up, which turned the tides, and the ending sequence of basically the struggle between the heartless. Feels weird because it's called Heartless, but like, how do I describe it? Like the Heartless lock. Anyway, yeah, she's trying to lock in heart. It's not even got a the. It's just Heartless. Whatever. Just get over it, Estelle. And the statement maker. And then the reversal pins, the statement maker being locked in, Julia crawling for the ropes, the crowd really being behind her, chanting Julia. And in those moments, you really did feel like so she'd have the momentum to win. The roll up from Hart, and then from Monet for the win. And I feel like if they'd have known that Julia was going to get the reaction that she did, maybe they would be kicking themselves a bit and be like, oh, maybe we should have given it to Julia. Because I think, in my opinion, Mercedes could have stood to have lost this.
yeah,
I think it would have benefited Julia more, because I know I said about muddying the waters. This is the way I'm thinking that Toni's thinking, but even if she loses, she can go off with Athena or whatever. I feel like Julia would have really benefited from this. It would have been a nice little rub, and it wouldn't have destroyed Monet that much. But
yeah,
they didn't go that way. That's fine. That's fine as well.
yeah. It is. Yeah, I agree. that way would have been fine too. But this way was good because I do think Julia came out of it looking really strong.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes you want more because you're
Yeah.
like, oh, damn. It's almost like that style of booking where you feel like it's unfair, but not to the point of perhaps the Death Riders thing where it's unfair for a really
Hmm.
large insurmountable amount of time. It's just a slight upset, and so you're like, oh, I can't wait to see Julia Hart again, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think
yeah,
this is like probably the first match, or at least first for a long time, match of Julia Hart where I've come out being like, oh, yes, that was great. I want more of that. I want to see more of her. Like, actually excited by her.
yeah. So we move on to the trios. Yuta, he was not getting the hometown
No.
welcome, which was funny. I thought both teams worked really well with each other in the regards of like within their factions, with all things considered, because rated FTR, I know they trained together, so perhaps that's why they were able to be so, I don't know, like concise, so well, worked well together. My brain is like running empty right now. And um the Death Riders, I think I was even more surprised at because obviously they have not been defending these trio titles, but they came
Yeah.
with some really cool, well worked events, and that kind of made me mad because I was like, damn, we've been robbed of so much good trios wrestling because these guys work
Literally.
amazing together.
This is exactly what I wrote down too. Watching this thinking, I just wish we had so many more trios matches from the Death Riders because, oh, they're so amazing and they just clearly loved being in the ring together. Like, you could sense the enjoyment and you could sense, like, the time and thought they put into the team moves they were going to do. And, oh, just so frustrated. Like, yeah, we've been robbed. Hopefully we'll get lots and lots of other matches, but I'm not really getting my hopes up. But yeah, this was. I'm glad that we at least got this. It was very fun. Um, I also loved. To be honest, I think Dax and Claudio were working together in this really well as well. Like, working together as in against each other. Like, their interactions were really funny. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this, but it made me slightly sad that they've not defended those belts more.
Well, yeah, because it's just lazy because obviously they're not going to want to defend the belts, and that makes kayfabe sense. But what doesn't make sense is why would other trios teams, and maybe it's because there is fuck all trios
Mhm.
anymore,
Yeah,
but
probably.
why would they not give a shit, or why would people not bound together? I mean, off the top of my head, the Ops,
Yeah.
they hate the Death Riders, so why would they not be calling them out? It's just very, very lazy because it makes sense. So you can't be too upset about it. But then when you see the great wrestling that you see and the creativity and, as you said, that the thought that you could see that was put into the certain spots, you just come away feeling a bit. And also, it was annoying because during this match, there's only so much you can get into it, and the great wrestling did help you get into it. But when you don't feel that much for the titles, and thus the outcome, it wasn't really going to change in my life whether the Death Riders won or lost. I'm sorry, it wasn't going to make any difference. I was just there for the match, and I enjoyed the match. But not caring about the outcome, I think, ain't great. Ain't great.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think I had a bit of an emotional stake in this because I was going to be so so pissed off if this whole thing was just leading to FTR kissing and making up on winning the trios belts. I would have actually been very frustrated with that outcome. So, yes, I was very excited when Wheeler picked up the win. Um, but I think that's less of like investment in Death Riders, even though like personally they're some of my favourite wrestlers, but more of disdain for FTR.
Fair. Yeah, I think the thing that carried this match was for me looking out for the nuance in Yuta
Yeah.
because his character work's always fun to watch out for, and Dax because
Yeah.
with how things have been tense at the minute, it felt like he was going to be the difference maker. And I thought it was very intelligent because they played into that, because a lot of spots were centered around Dax being in peril, because they knew that we as the fans knew that Dax was going to be the one probably being pinned if anyone was going to be pinned. So when he was in those moments of perils, those near falls, and when he was in submission holds, you really thought it was going to happen, and I thought that that was really well thought out as well.
Yes, exactly. I think Dax really fit his role very well. I think he did a really good job of, even just like on the entrance, I thought he looked disjointed from the other two. Just something as simple as like just looking a bit out of place. Yeah, so yeah, like you said, just throughout, that raised the tensions, because as fans, yeah, we sort of had eagle eyes on him to see what was going to happen with that story.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the spot where there was the flurry of uppercuts to Dax. That was a lot of fun, and a lot of the spots and moments in this match were just a lot of men in the ring at once, which and we do get trios in the regards of just throw away or throw together matches for main events of Dynamite,
Yeah.
it feels like. So, but seeing it in this regard of people working together and having very synchronized offense, I was like, damn. I do again. It just made me miss like the peak of trios
Yeah.
wrestling.
It's like
Because before I was
refreshing.
like, just throw it away, just throw it to the wolves, get it out of my face.
Yeah, exactly. It's refreshing. It reminds you why it's good.
Going towards the end, as you said, it was Yuta picking up the victory against Dax with the Psycho knee, which he was able to do through Cup inadvertently colliding with Dax, which again just keeps mounting up that pressure. But it was very nice that Yuta got the victory, I thought.
Yeah.
And it was also well done because, as I said, these moments of Dax being in peril, you expected the pin, but this really felt like it was out of nowhere. It was very well paced and very well done
Yeah.
to make it feel like that, because yeah, he had to get the pin in fast after he did that for us to not, like, I think because you're so kind of like an optical illusion, you're so focused on Cope and Dax, and you're like, oh, and then you focus on that rather than the pin. But I thought,
Yes,
yeah,
that's so true.
great time in there.
Yeah, because your attention is elsewhere, isn't it? But side note, did you like hear how hard Dax and Edge clashed heads? Like the absolute crack of their skulls meeting each other was not very nice.
Well, they do look like the thick skulled. That sounds like an insult, but I mean, my head's probably like an Easter egg. Like, you just crack it in. Just pure brain in there, but theirs is like pure skull,
Thick.
pure cranium. Cope goes up to help Dax with Cash, who accepts, and they all put their hands up. Very cute. Dax then attacks Cope and does a pile driver, I believe, and sets up for the concerto. He hands Cash the chair, who throws it and shoves Dax. So this moment was quite, it was still quite shocking, but it was also predictable.
Yes.
So
yeah, exactly.
But I was very much enjoying it, and it was like, oh, you feel like you're really relaxing now. You really got lured into a false sense of security, because again, with the pace and the timing, you really thought, oh, this is it. And then Cash does the shatter machine with Dax and the pile driver on the chair to Cope, and then a concerto. And then we have this moment of Cash caressing Cope, which I'm not sure if this was supposed to be mocking or whether there's any sincerity in this. And then he delivers a second concerto, and as medical are coming down, he steals the neck brace and mocks him on the stretcher. So commentary kind of put forward the question of, at the end of this, do you believe this was premeditated, or do you believe it was spur of the moment? So that's an interesting thought. I think it has to be premeditated, personally.
But I mean, yes, but I think either way is plausible, that maybe in the moment Cash was suddenly like, oh, fuck this, I've just lost the match. Cope's an old man. I'm losing my best friend. Yeah, actually, this is the right thing to do. But I don't know, it'd be interesting to see how they follow it up.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, either one of those explanations is intriguing and just sort of plausibly makes sense. So yeah, I felt like it was predictable where up until the point, you know, where Dax was the one turn, and you're like, yeah, well, obviously everyone saw this coming. But then obviously Cash turn as well. That's more of an exciting conclusion compared to like the predictable FTR breaking up in the moment. But I feel like in the long term, it's boring still because FTR is just
Really?
still, well, not boring, but like FTR are still together. They're just heels now.
Yeah, I feel
So
like that's the
like,
best case scenario though. Like
I
I feel
know
like
that we
this
were very
went
critical.
above and beyond. I feel like this is the reset. This is going to do
Mm.
so much more for him than the whole self-indulgent splitting up,
Well,
pissing
yeah,
about. I think this is direction. They're angry, they're focused. The only concern I have is, especially with the books coming in later, is God, we have and with the Hurt Syndicate as well, we have a lot of heels and not a lot of good guys.
yeah, that's
So
so true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know we were critical about them going into a feud with each other. I just think long term, what what's gonna come from this heel FTR? Like what's the end game? What's the
I thought
goal?
this is an amazing opportunity. I feel like this is really like lit a fire under both their asses. I'm
Mm,
excited to see what they're going to come out and say, whether it was
yeah,
premeditated or
fair
spur
enough.
of the moment.
Yeah,
I feel like they've got that focus, that drive back that they didn't have before. And maybe you can still do the Edge and Christian versus heel FTR. You can also
yeah,
have
you can.
heels versus heels. That's very interesting, and the shades of which you can have within that. Um, for sure. I just want to say as well, I found the whole turn interesting because it reminded me of a horror movie I watched last night called Ready or Not. And in that movie, this girl, she marries into this family and she has to play a game of hide and seek before she can join the family. But the
Mm,
family are hunting her down to kill her. So she's like, oh my God, I've married into some psychos.
yeah.
And throughout the movie, the husband's like helping her a bit, but he's still like with his family, but he's like, I'll give you some tips and stuff. And he has a conversation with his mum and he's like, oh, when it comes down to it, it's always going to be her. It's always going to be her. And then it gets down to like the final bit of the movie, spoiler for Ready or Not. The bride ends up killing the mum. And the husband walks in and he sees that. And I guess in like a moment of, I don't know, just in the heat of the moment, he's actually like, oh, guys, she's in here, she's in here. So the whole time he's like, oh, yeah, I'm for my
Oh
wife.
my God.
I mean, I don't know if it was for this is bullshit. I don't know if it was for his wife because he sent her to this bloody game. But my point being is it reminded me of Cash and Dax because it's like, Cash was like to Cope, oh, you're my bestie. But when it came down to it, Dax is like his family, and he's always going to have his family over his lover.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
that
want
long.
me to tell me
I mean, yeah, I like it. I like
how
it.
my brain works.
I like the parallels. I mean, maybe Cope watched this film and was like, hell yeah. That's the symbolism we're going for. But no, I think I know what you're getting at. I think it makes sense and I love it because it's like,
When it comes down to the wire, when your
yeah, it's
back's
like
against the wall,
you're
that's your ride
loyal.
or die.
Yeah, yeah, it's about loyalty, isn't it? And like Cope being his like fresh new best friend, but really he knows that, deep down.
He knows what side of the bread gets buttered. And also, I think it would have done a lot of damage to their integrity as a group because
Mm,
over the years they've all been about their legacy. And if they had have split up, I think it would have done damage to their legacy because it's like, oh, they've all been about we're brothers, we're brothers.
yeah.
I feel like this is better for their identity as them two, and they're protecting themselves and looking out for themselves, which
Mm,
they should do. And again, that sit down interview where it was totally illogical, where Dax was upset because he wanted to focus on the tag team belts and Cash not wanting to, not really caring about it. It was kind of out of character. So
Yeah.
I feel like, this is going back to basics, back to what FTR is all about. But
About the brotherhood and yeah.
it's interesting, but it is going to be a bit difficult to navigate because, like I say, it's not like they're in a division with a lot of baby faces, and it's not like Private Party are holding the titles and they're going to go in and steamroll them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big dogs in a small dog park.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, Hurt Syndicate are Hurt Business. What are they fucking called?
They're called Hurt Syndicate.
The Hurt
They're
people.
called the Hurt Business is WWE.
Oh, fucking hell,
The
right.
Hurt people.
Yes.
The Hurt people. The Hurt Men.
Yes. The Hurty people. Their face is right. Everyone loves them. Everyone sings their
No.
song. But they're so over. Everyone's singing their music. Like, do they count? Can we have FTR versus Hurty people?
I mean, I feel like they're gonna go. I feel like they're gonna wrap up the Cope thing first. But
Well,
who's Cope gonna call in as backup now?
that's the question, isn't it?
That's the question on everyone's mind. So but it has intrigue. It does have intrigue. So
Awesome.
I was, for a match that was for some titles that you didn't care about. That with people who you hadn't seen wrestle together for a long time, and the outcome that it got, pretty well done in my opinion.
Agreed.
Oh god, now we're going to talk about Megan Bayne
strapping
Penelope Ford versus Toni Storm. First of all, I just want to comment on the Penelope Ford of it all. I don't think it makes sense Penelope Ford being with Megan Bayne. I don't understand it. Why she's trying to help another woman win a title. And I know it's like, because then she can fight Megan Bayne, but Megan Bayne's fucking a beast, so why? Surely it'd be better to go after Toni Storm. Yeah, Megan Bayne fucking... Yeah, she's God. She is God, so...
OP God. Why would she want to face
Doodle
her?
God. Did anyone play Doodle God? Great game. But yeah, it's like, what's the strategy here? What's the intellect? Or is she just a crony? But what is she gaining out of it?
Well, I agree with you,
Makes no sense.
but for different reasons to what you said. So I thought, if Megan's so strong and amazing and godlike, why does she need a Penelope Ford to cheat for her? I don't understand
like
that aspect.
Because, that part where it was like she kept interfering in the match, but she never really needed to, because it never felt like Bayne was in danger. And then Luther obviously carries her away. But as I say, Bayne was so dominant that it never felt like she was that much of a difference maker. So, either side of the way that you look at it, it doesn't make sense. And they don't look that great together. They don't have loads of chemistry. I mean, I'm not complaining in the regard of, I really like Penelope Ford, and I'd really like to see her do a bit more. And how can people, it's like the Brian Keefe of it all, how can people do stuff if they don't get the moment? I get that. But it's just weird. It's just fucking weird.
Yeah, I found it unusual too.
Okay, this match. This just ain't for me. It's for a lot of people. It's for a lot of the male demographic. That it seems to be.
Statement.
But is it? I don't think it is. I feel it's for a lot of the male
just
demographic.
making an observation about what you see. Which I think is valid and true, but I wonder why.
The female Brock Lesnar, that's just how I'm calling it, how I see it. It just seems to really excite a lot of the male demographic. That's just what I'm observing. That's just what I'm observing, and that's what people are liking. So I don't like it, but then again, maybe it's me. Maybe I just don't get it. I don't get Imagine Dragons, and they're very popular. I don't get George Ezra, and he's very popular. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe I'm the problem, but
maybe you're just a hipster. You don't like things that are cool. No, I mean,
I don't.
I don't hate Megan Bayne, but I don't love her either. I don't watch her matches and think, wow, you're a great wrestler. I get that with Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné, for example. I think they're great in the ring. I think Megan Bayne is like, yes, she's clearly powerful. She has the ability to put on a good match. Like this wasn't. I don't think this was bad. I felt this was quite smooth, quite competitive. But yeah, the continuous like slams and things like that is not personally for me either.
I just don't enjoy it. My whole thing is like the chase and the struggle,
Yeah.
and I can't connect to her through that. And also, it really pains me to see Toni Storm, who's gone through so much with Mariah May, just in this match, she won with a roll up and she just looks weak as fuck. And to me, having your women's champion look weak as fuck to, if it was someone on the roster who'd been on there for a while, to me, I'd forgive it a bit more. But to someone who's just strutted on in, got the little fast pass to front at line to go on roller coaster, that's just what it feels like to me. And the flow of the match, I just couldn't get in. I just can't get into it. Like her just not selling anything.
Yeah.
It was painful. It was painful.
Yeah. About the no selling thing, yeah, I agree. I dislike that. I feel like there's a lot of storytelling on the part of Toni Storm where she's taking a beating and she's struggling to adjust to it and she's thinking on the fly, how can I beat this person who is outmatching me at this point? But then what's Megan Bayne's story? Like I feel like that's where
She struggles through nothing.
Yeah, that's
struggles
where
through nothing.
We don't connect with her, isn't it? Because we got no reason to sort of be intrigued by her character when her character's very one-dimensional and very just like, I am strong.
And where's
It's
the end
not
game? Because
interesting.
if fucking the women's champion, I mean, if you watch Tell the Story, surely Megan Bayne hands everyone their ass, gets to Toni Storm, and Toni Storm's the one who kind of puts her in a place a little bit. I'm not saying she has to totally fucking squash her, but just puts her in a place and shakes her a bit, and then she comes back and chases it. It just, yeah, I just don't think this Brock Lesnar-esque character works in this women's division, which is still quite threadbare, still trying to gain momentum. I think the last thing you should be doing is feeding these women to someone as cannon fodder. I think it's not got as much depth as you think it does, and these characters need to be protected and not just being fed to the machine. It really gets to me. It really irritates me. I think it's wrong. And I think you're setting Megan Bayne up for failure, because when she beats Toni bloody Storm, who's going to come beat her? Britt Baker. Oh, that'd be a bloody dream for me. But like, who's going to rock up and decimate her?
Yeah.
There's no foresight in this. It's just spamming move and spamming this person in my booking, and they're so good, and I hate it. I absolutely hate everything about it, and I think people should be concerned, because people are like, but Megan Bayne looks good. Well, that's fucking great, but who's Megan Bayne going to go against when everyone else has lost their credibility against this woman? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't see how people can't see that. I don't see how people can't see the long term of it all. Does this woman just come on screen and she's like got, I can't think the word, like an illusion, like a spiral in people's minds, and they're just under the Megan Bayne spell? I don't get it.
I mean, I love it when we get to talk about Megan Bayne, because in a sick and twisted way, it's very entertaining to listen to you talk about her. Even though you get angry, so sorry about that, but it is funny.
I don't know how to say it in any other words other than I'm not a fan, but it's okay, because I felt very vindicated by the ending, because a lot of people wouldn't have been a fan of the ending. but I was a fan of the ending. So do you know what? I feel like I won at the end of the day. You know, it's not a battle, it's a war.
You're in it for the long term, baby. That's the problem though. Like, imagine if Tony lost this match. That'd be fucking terrible. She's only just won that championship back after everything she's been through. I would not.
Well, she won, so but I
Yeah.
didn't like the ending either because it just means it's just going to carry on.
Yes, it is. It is going to carry on.
And on and on and on. Right, Matt Briscoe versus Kyle Fletcher. This was very good. I loved Kyle Fletcher's attire. Thought he looked like a
Yeah.
very angry flamingo.
We love angry flamingos.
A lot of intensity going into this match. There was a lot of intensity going into a lot of these
Yeah.
matches because less so, like we said, there wasn't hot feuds going into this, but it felt like people having stuff to prove, especially in tournament aspects and in the Megan Bayne Toni Storm thing for the women's title. You know, you've got something to prove. This was no slobber knocker. That bit where Matt Briscoe's just launching chairs in and Fletcher taking advantage of him while Knox had his back turned, and the vicious. I'm such a huge Kyle Fletcher fan. I love the viciousness that he can deliver with a single strike because of the velocity and the speed that he gets
Yeah.
when he lands in a chop or a kick or a strike. It's nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was intense, like from the very start. Fletcher was just brutalizing him all the way through. Yeah, they just went all in straight away. Particularly that power bomb on the barricade. That was fucking horrific.
Yeah. I'm just absolutely loving Kyle Fletcher at the minute. He's one of the younger prospects that's really, for a long while, he was not on my radar. He wasn't in Aussie Open. I did like him as a tag team, but I didn't. I heard a lot of people be like, "Oh, I'm so excited for him to break up. I'm so excited for him to break up." Kind of in the same way that I feel about Bowens now, which oh my god, he came back on the pre-show. He was cast as mystery opponent,
Oh, no way.
which was pretty funny. But it's kind of in that regard of a lot of people are hyping him up, and it's like, yes, I like this person, but I'm not seeing the star that you're seeing. But I'll hold my hands up and say I was wrong.
Yeah.
Kyle Fletcher is a fucking future world champion in any promotion he walks into in the next few years when he's fully formed, which he's practically there already. But when he's
Yeah.
continues to rack up the wins, rack up a few mid-carder belts, I think he's just a fucking star. He's untouchable, and yeah, I'm loving watching the ascension of Kyle Fletcher and all of his matches that he's doing at the moment. Big fan.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. He's a star in his own right, but I think he really benefits from having Don Callis as well. I think they're such a he just fits in perfectly, and they're a great. I want to say team. That's not really the right word, but you know what I mean. Like it's a great dynamic that they've got.
Yeah, because normally with those dynamics, it's someone being taken advantage of, but you never feel like Kyle Fletcher's being taken advantage
Yeah.
of. You feel like he's just as sick and twisted, and they've got a great symbiotic relationship, and it's like two evil, sick fucks
Yeah.
just vibing with each other, and you're there for
Yeah.
it. Speaking of the Callis family, we had Takeshita watching on, which I would have loved a bit of Takeshita on this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That would have really brought me back, and Brody King as well. And I thought Kyle Fletcher had a clear advantage in this match compared to other matches where I said like it's a bit more neck and neck and reversals, and which I think he should have had a bit more of a clear advantage because he's going against Matt Briscoe, and obviously he's a bit further up than Matt Briscoe. But Briscoe can play those positions because he's very dogmatic and he won't give up. So while Kyle's got the advantage and he's beating him, it's just rallying the crowd up more for Briscoe because it just makes him more rootable and more of the quirky baby face. I felt like this match had a lot of length to it. I'm not sure if it was just me that thought it, but I felt like it went on for quite a while for what it was. But it was the turnbuckle brainbuster, which Fletcher's been using a lot for the women, which is a really nasty, nasty move, going for his nasty character. And Yeah, it was just a great little piece. Again, probably a Dynamite, free picture in picture type of match, but
Yeah.
it was still great. And like I say, it was put on because of the match after this, Bandito versus Jericho. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, so apparently the plan was not to have this on the show. This this match was not going to be.
No, because this was just going to be a Dynamite. Like I said, it's because of the
Right.
uncertainty of the Bandito Jericho thing. So they put this
Oh,
on just in
right.
case.
I see. I
And
see.
then they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, we might as well keep it on."
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad it's good that, you know, I think both of these men deserve that platform, but it wouldn't have been out of place on Dynamite and it would have been an excellent Dynamite match, but equally it was a great pay-per-view match as well. Yeah, I feel like Kyle Fletcher he's just very. I'm just thinking about what we said before. What you said really made me think like you don't get the sense that he's being taken advantage of or manipulated by Don Callis. I feel like he seems very like mentally strong. Like he couldn't be manipulated. He's doing this all by choice, and if he ever chooses to leave and go do something else, he is more than capable of doing that by himself. Just feels like whatever he wants to do next, whether that is go after a championship or anything, he can just do it. He's got that aura about him that he won't let anything stop him.
Which makes him feel very dangerous. And as I keeps using the word very nasty.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, what you said about the match going on quite long, there was a lot of really big, dangerous spots, I felt like, where it could have been over, but, they did the whole thing where Matt Briscoe's not giving up and he keeps on kicking out. So, yeah, I
so
definitely
he
got that
keeps having to
impression
dig
too.
deeper and da da
Yeah,
da.
do
Yeah.
something even more dangerous.
Yeah, so let's move on to Bandito versus Jericho. Um, right, let's just go through it. So this is for Mask versus title
I wish it
after
was Mask
Jericho.
versus Korea, because the part of me thought that actually was the case, and then I was like, that's ridiculous. It's the title, you don't
Yeah.
gutted.
So we had the code breaker straight out the gate. I did think in respect to Jericho, but I don't think I ever have felt like in recent memory. I feel like he had a stint of really bad matches, but I feel like in recent memory, his in-ring work for what he can deliver at his age, you can't really criticize it. He kept
Yeah,
him with Bandito's pace, which
yeah.
was very fast, and he was always in the spot that he needed to. There was some great feats of physicality. I think the standout was the elevated suspension for an insane amount of time. I don't know if it was like 40,
Yeah,
50 seconds. Very, very impressive and fun. And then Jericho retorting with the power bomb to Bandito off the apron to the floor. We had Brian Keith coming down, brawling with Gravity
that brawl looked
after he tried to
horrible.
get involved.
That brawl was really like they
You
were
were happy to
so
see more of your fave.
well, they were so clearly not hitting each other. I don't know if it was just the camera angle or something, but it just looked awful.
Jericho gets his bat and hits Bandito.
That
Speaking of not
also
hitting
looked
people
horrible.
with the weakest little tap. And then he went for the slowest cover, which I must admit it did have me laughing. That was very, very funny. And then it's like, oh, Jericho's won. Bandito's mum and sister come down, and then oh, the bat was here, guys, and the match is restarted, and then Bandito gets a quick win, and now he's the Ring of Honor champion. A lot of nothing, really. I mean, it was some
Yes.
fun. It was some fun.
Bit
This
of
were a
light-heartedness.
pre-show match. This were a
Yeah.
pre-show match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was nice to see Bandito's family so happy for him and stuff. That was quite
I thought it
heartwarming.
was a bit
But
obnoxious.
did you? Oh God.
Because obviously that spot was just them. And maybe it was Jericho because I'm praising for being on time, but obviously he needed to get sister and like grab a red and whatever we were doing. But yeah, they were just going, yay, yay, like NPCs. And I was just like, oh, for God's sake. But maybe I'm just a miserable bitch that doesn't like to see people
It
happy,
was.
I don't know.
Possible. No, not at all. It was like quite cringe. Yeah, I give you that. But I was like, okay, yay, I guess. It didn't feel very Ring of Honor. That's what I take from it. Like that's not very Ring of Honor, is it? Like restarting the match and yeah. But
Bit daft.
Yeah, it's just a bit daft, wasn't it? I'd take it over
It's like something you'd
Jericho
see.
winning.
It was very overbooked in the way that you'd see in like an indie show.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. That
Like
this
those overbooked finishes that you sometimes get. That's what it was given.
yeah. Oh, that reminds me. There's a wrestling show on in Morecambe next week, next Saturday. Get your tickets now, guys. You don't want to miss it. It's the 20th anniversary of War on the Shore. It's going to be awesome. Not that it's ever overbooked in Morecambe, but yeah, it was a bit Morecambe-esque. This type of like melodramatic, very like takes you one way, then takes you the complete opposite way type of finish. So yeah.
Bit Butlins this. Bit Butlins.
Butlins.
Uh yeah. Daniel Garcia versus Adam Cole now for the TNT title. Uh Again, a lot of heat going into this given their past bouts and their little feud that they've been kind of doing on Collision. I thought Garcia came across in this as really self-assured and
Yeah.
confident, which was really cool to see. He had a great aura at the start of the match. Adam Cole selling the ankle injury after the rough landing outside the ring. This match was the slugfest. There wasn't a lot of slugfest. There was a lot of action and intensity and just great, tight, well put together matches. This wasn't, but I think it worked because we hadn't really seen that yet. So it was a bit of a change of pace. Um, there was a really, I don't understand what was going on the steps. The bit where it kind of dropped him on his shoulder and then his back hit the ring post. And then to the Panama Sunrise on Daniel Garcia outside. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, I agree. That was weird, and I don't think it sort of played out how it was meant to. So it was I can't remember what the move is called, but it's when I think Adam dropped him like his head on his knee. So that was the idea, but it was meant to be like extra impactful because it was on the steps. But the idea with that move is you land on the knee. It's not like your head is hitting the floor. Your head hits the knee. So it's like no matter where you do it, it's the same impact. I think they tried to play it off like, oh, he hit his back on the ring post, oh, he landed awkwardly type thing. But yeah, I agreed. It was just a bit overcomplicated, I felt like. I felt like in these moments it just started to veer on being just a bit overdone. Um, Especially with like, trying to like selling Cole's injury as well. There was just a few moves where I was a bit like, it's not really landed. It's not really connected with the crowd. What you were trying to get at.
No, it didn't land physically or emotionally or in any way. But then we had the Panama and the boom on Adam Cole in the ring, which he kicked out of, which I thought was interesting. Daniel Garcia with more edge. I didn't know if that was for the feud though, because he's just so heated with Adam Cole, or whether it was to do with his character. But I did think it was interesting that with this newfound confidence and self assurance, and I thought, oh, like he's having to dig a bit deeper and be a bit nastier. Word of the day, nasty, nasty pasty, to finally put him under. So yeah. But then, if I just wrap this up, Adam Cole picks up the win with the boom. And then I really didn't. Right, So I think this was terrible. I think Adam Cole winning the title does no favours for anyone. I don't think Garcia's had a long enough run for the belt to really feel like it meant anything to go over. I feel like Adam Cole is also just going to have a mediocre run doing the exact same spiel that Danny G's been doing. Also, as I say, it felt like Daniel Garcia was kind of trying to do something interesting with his character, but that was totally nerfed by the ending in the regard of Cole helping him up and then him just shaking his hand and
Yeah.
walking off like
Yeah.
an absolute chump. I thought. What was the point? I feel like this was only done because this whole fucking pay-per-view was predictable, which again isn't bad. It's not a terrible thing, but it was predictable, right? So they were like, "Oh, we need to do a title change. We need to do a title change," and this was the one they did, and it was at Daniel Garcia's expense, and I thought it was bullshit.
It was the least consequential title to change, and you
Aye,
just needed that thing of, oh yeah, we need a title change.
got a new champion, guys.
Yeah, to
Post a
make
picture on
it,
Instagram.
yeah, to make it feel big stakes. But that's one thing I picked up on. It didn't have a big gravitas feel about it should do, like Adam Cole winning this championship, but I just felt nothing. I was like, oh, cool, okay. Next match, like I just didn't give a shit, sadly, because I like Adam Cole, but I just didn't really care. I felt like Danny Garcia's not had the chance to do anything with this title, and I don't think that's his fault. I think that there's a potential for Adam Cole if he follows up with something interesting for this to help him to get out of the rut that he's been in.
But what's he gonna do?
I don't
Because he
know.
posted on Instagram and he was like, "Oh, look, I've been through so much and now I've won this belt and this is my new start." And to me, that's just saying, "Oh, I'm grateful to be here and I'm all smiles." And but again, maybe he shouldn't turn heel because there is too many heels. I get that, but there's just, as I said before, he's in creative wrestler stage right now. There's no edge. There's no pizzazz. There's no what's below the surface. What you see is what you get, and
Yeah,
it's it's just not. You're not the new kid on the block. You know what I mean? You're not the Mike
yeah.
Bailey. You're not gonna get away with just having a little smile and oh, I'm a smiley lad and I do some wrestling. You know,
Happy
the
to be
crowd.
in.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like no, you need to knuckle down and do something. And I don't feel like this was the time for the victory. I don't feel like the fans were clamoring for it. It's
Yeah,
just people online being like generic, like, oh, that's nice. Happy he got to win that. He
yeah, exactly.
deserves it. What about Daniel Garcia?
Yeah, it
What about
doesn't
my
match
Shayla,
them.
Daniel Garcia?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly that. Um,
Not happy.
just didn't really care. I didn't think this match was brilliant either, and I thought the crowd was quite dead as well for most of it, and I couldn't really blame them for it.
It wasn't hot, was it? It wasn't like, oh, Niff, or like, oh, is the title going to change? It was just, oh, I've hit you with my move,
Yeah.
and now I've got the belt, and
You've got to hurt ankle again.
yay, and Daniel Garcia, you're back to having no momentum again.
Poor lad, he just
Oh,
can't get off the ground, can he? He just like hovers about 30 centimeters above like surface level, and then he's just back down again.
yeah, like a balloon
Yeah.
at a party.
A sad little balloon.
A sad little balloon. You can
Um,
pick it up, but gravity's always going to bring it back down.
um, I'm so sorry to just like go off track, but something that you said there reminded me. What was it about Megan Bayne fucking no
No,
selling the Storm Zero?
don't, but yeah, that's what I mean. There were no
Like,
selling.
what the hell was
It
that
were
about?
bullshit. It
She
were
kicked out at
bull.
like nothing. That was
Oh,
bullshit. I forgot about
why are
that.
you bringing? Why are you bringing that back
I
up
don't know
after
why.
I'm upset about Daniel
Yeah,
Garcia?
sorry.
Why are you throwing
Because
gasoline on a fire?
I was like, you know what? I need some more of. I need some more of Estelle passionately disliking Megan Bayne. Yeah, no, I just wanted to hit that point. That really pissed me off as well. Anyway, let's move on.
That PMO. So, now we're going to move on to, as I said, this pay-per-view, it was very predictable, and I got what I paid for, and I thought, this is going to be my favourite match, and this was my favourite match of the
Oh
night, and
yes,
that was the
excellent.
freeway for the International, Mike Bailey, Ricochet versus Kenny. It was an absolute great decision to make this freeway, because these lads put on an absolute banger. I liked how Kenny came out to his more so Final Fantasy Mortal Kombat theme
Oh, it was
rather than Battle Cry.
very anime, wasn't it? Yeah, bless him. What a nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, this to me is it's going on my list of potential matches of the year for me. Like I'm trying to keep a
Really?
list of matches that I watch. And I'm like, oh
I
yes,
need to keep the list.
I like this one. That's what I'm trying to do, and this one's gone on it, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, Ricochet. I liked how Ricochet stepped out right at the start, so that we got Speedball and Kenny facing off at first, because I think that was the most, for me, like interesting part about it, seeing how Mike Bailey's going to go against Kenny, but and it made sense for Ricochet's character, and I liked how he sort of was looming on the outside, kind of like a horror movie, like someone's watching you, like you know he's gonna come in at any moment and intercept, so that kind of added tension as well. Also, I know that he don't wrestle with no shoes on, but it was really hitting me in this match, especially with another person. Like, this man is wrestling with no shoes on. Like, what if someone stands on his feet? That really hurt.
Yeah, there was something about like some of the camera angles where his bare foot was right in your face, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, my dude, get some socks on."
Put those grippers away, man. At least he has like a little. His attire kind of goes onto his foot though. It's like
Protects him a
Matt
little bit.
Riddle,
Yeah,
where
Matt
they were
Riddle's
just out and about,
disgusting. His old trotters
slipping
were out.
about.
Yeah.
And I really liked. There was a lot of satisfying spots against Ricochet in this match, which I think
Mhm.
makes it very well deserved to be in your potential match of the year category. We had the slaps to his
Oh
big
yeah.
bald head.
I mean, that
Love to
alone,
see that.
that's enough to bump it up there. 10 stars out of 5 for that one.
And the bit where he went over after taking out Kenny and Bailey, and he puts on Shivani's headset and he's like, "Oh, I'm the best. No one can stop me." And then you just see, speaking of grippers, you just see that foot just come in and just smash him against the face. Brilliant.
Meme,
Brilliant stuff.
instant meme.
Yeah. Uh, there was some really nasty spots as well. Bailey being used by Ricochet as kind of like a battering ram on Kenny, just throwing him to the side, and then that compressing his midsection on the barrier was a really cool little spot. And I was really enjoying the personal build up of frustration against Ricochet and Bailey, because with Kenny, it never felt that personal for me. It was just business. Whether that be Ricochet
Yeah.
with Kenny or Kenny with Bailey, because I think that's because of Kenny's mindset that's different. But I think Bailey came into this match and he still was a bit pissed about the fact that Ricochet had wormed his way in. Ricochet obviously didn't really think that much of him. So their little tension was great, and I'd love to see if from this they can even have like a rematch against each other, or just something. I don't know, because I thought that they worked well against each other. I think it's like the purity, the steamboat purity of Mike Bailey, and just the absolute knobheadry of Ricochet. It's just a great foil against each other.
Yeah, they seem like just like natural enemies, don't they?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, and Bailey, he had a knee injury that he was selling throughout the match when he nearly practically shattered him on the apron after Ricochet moved away.
Mm.
And it was the Avalanche one. I really, really like the ending, because there was a bit more after that spot, and then we had the Avalanche one winged angel to Ricochet, and as Kenny's getting the pin, Speedball falls back, so he's in the tree of woe, and he can't intercept, because how can he pull himself back up when he's fucked up his knees? I was like, oh, that's great, man. It was a great, satisfying victory, and Kenny's mindset, like his whole aura, like I've been crediting him for this whole time, of how he's so focused and so about his legacy. And even at the end, we had Okada walking out, which was huge post-match angle, and Omega just walking off was a huge statement in and of itself. It was almost, I kind of read it as a, "I'll deal with you another day.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this."
Yeah.
But as well, I just want to say, I think I mentioned it to you. I definitely mentioned it to you, but again, this leads me to think that there's the little theory going around of, for Okada and Kenny's match, they're gonna put the stakes as the undisputed Continental International title, because obviously the Continental title is just a toy. It has, and we don't need it. So it would be for the best to put that as a stake. So it'll just be one unified title. So I
Mhm.
really hope they go down that avenue.
Yeah, and it made me think about that when this angle happened at the end. And I was like, yeah, that seems like that would make complete sense at this point. And that match, I mean, obviously, that rematch would be incredible. So yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think this was really good for all men involved. I thought they were so well synchronized with each other. It was just beautiful to watch. I thought Kenny looked stronger than ever in this one, and just everything he did was flawless. He looked so strong. And this was a long one. This was like over half an hour long, but it didn't feel that long.
Yeah, everyone played their part amazingly. Ricochet's the chicken shit heel. Kenny, he's put his own doing his legacy. He's stronger than ever. Bailey's got something to prove. He's got the crowd backing, and I just really, really, really like Mike Bailey a lot. I think he's a very needed presence, and it's very refreshing having a baby face that you can get behind. Um,
Yeah.
because you shouldn't really, because he should, like, the first time I saw him, I was like, I know you've been in the TNA. I know you kind of got a bit of a 2K vibe about you, a bit of a generic
Mhm.
vibe about you.
Mm.
But he's so damn good, and he does have this, just this. It it's very difficult to have that natural root ability of, like, you look at it and you look at him, you're like, you're a trustworthy man. I want to
Yeah.
cheer for you because you just look like a nice lad, and that is it's a rare thing. Maybe it's because he's Canadian. I don't know, but he just seems
He's
like a nice dude.
he's just so sweet, and he just seems like yeah, he's just got really nice aura about him.
Nice smile.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to speed Bailey, whoop whoop. I want to whip it up. But some people might be, I don't know. But
Okay.
yeah,
That took a turn, but yeah.
let's move on. To Swerve versus Jon Moxley.
Yeah. I mean,
The
I
main event, dudes.
I had like 45, 50 minutes left on the
You were
video,
dying.
and I was
You
like,
messaged me. You were like, "Fuck me. I'll have
yeah,
Happy Days."
and I was like, main event time already. How fucking long is this thing gonna go on for? Um,
Ah.
but I will say it didn't. I don't think it dragged on. It wasn't my match of the night. I thought it was pretty slow, but it, especially towards the end, it got quite exciting. It picked up.
I didn't enjoy the match, and I thought it was slow paced. But I agree with you in that it it did move through the motions quite fast. It's just that the motions that it was moving through felt very paint by numbers. So we had the mat
Mm.
wrestling at the start, which a lot of Mox matches kind of begin with. I did
Yeah.
like this though because there was lots of goading on Mox's part, and that made sense given his intent, because his whole point is, well, I want you to, kind of like Bryan Danielson, of I want you to out wrestle me. I want you to prove to me, I really want you to be the protege, but come on and step up and let's fucking go.
Hmm.
Uh, and then that served to rile Swerve up more. So he was kind of being goaded into the trap, it sort of felt like. We had the spots outside of the ring, Swerve getting colour on the steps, further exacerbated by the DDT that was then performed. With the biting of the head,
Yeah. What a sick
and
bastard.
yeah, Swerve not being worn down by this, the more he's very Moxley adjacent, the more that you inflict on him,
Yeah.
it's almost like a power up, the more powerful he's sort of, because he's in his element basically.
Yeah.
Pretty run of the mill match, but with integrity, because at that point they just started to just wrestle in the ring, and there wasn't interferences, there wasn't any shenanigans. It really felt like what Mox had said. I want you to beat me. I want you to overtake me, but do it right. Actually, fucking annihilate me. Basically, I'm a masochist. But that was until Marina came in. But Nana tries to stop her interference and is then struck. Swerve dodges, and Marina's caught by Mox taking her out. Mox then sets up a ladder, bites Swerve's head again. Uh, Swerve's raking Mox's back, so he's kind of meeting him there, and also the inflictions to Mox's back during that street fight with Cope.
Mm-hmm.
I did like this element because it made the match feel high stake. And then we had to swerve stomp through the table. And it's like I say, we had the glass spot on Dynamite, so they did have to pull some kind of violent elements out to sort of top that, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, that swerve stomp was cool.
Yeah. Same with the strike exchange in the ring. Mox targeting the injured knee. Marina grabs a chair and throws it at the ref, who's then taken out. Adam Page comes down and tries to decide who to perform his bookshot on. At first, he's instantly set on Swerve, so it looks like he's come out with the full intent of he's just pissed and he don't want Swerve to win the title and yada yada. But then he kind of glimpses at Mox and he leans to the side and it looks like he's setting up for Mox instead. I guess because if Swerve wins the title, then he can beat him for it, and that's more moral. And he's kind of more, I don't know what the word is, not moral, but he's more, I can't think of the word, but he's
Like logical or like less unhinged.
not logical. Yeah, but it's more so like he's more set on like the justice of it all, like doing things right. There's a word for it and I can't think of it. I'm sorry. It's going to be more. It's not satisfying, isn't the word, but we'll go with it. It's going to be more satisfying,
Like
to
legitimate, sort of.
Yeah, legitimate. It's going to be more legitimate to beat Swerve one on one, and he can finally, get that validation within himself rather than have Mox win.
Yeah.
What's that going to do? It's not really going to. It's not really going to complete the story, is it? But we don't get time to see that because Mox's Death Rider's come down, but Yuta misfires with the Boo Psycho knee. So then Adam Page can come in and perform the Dead Eye on Mox. The Ops come out to level it out with the Death Riders. So again, lots of chaos. You're saying very exciting because at the time, you're just like, what the hell's going on? Swerve launches the chair at Mox. Swerve stomp, but there's no ref. Swerve's knee is absolutely fucked as well, so he's trying to make his way over but struggling, and you don't know at this point. It's not like you think, oh, Swerve's got it in the bag or anything, but you're just like following along. Lights go out. The fucking Young Bucks. Also, I want to say when Adam Page came out at first, I thought it was Jack Perry, and I was like,
Yeah.
what are you doing here? Just because of the denim jacket. BT trigger to Swerve. Mox wins. Hilarious. Absolutely. I'm like this on my bed, right? I'm barely paying attention. I'm like, oh, I'm leaning forward a bit. I'm like, who's that? Jack Perry? Oh, no, it's just Adam Page. Oh, Adam Page. But I thought, oh, cool. The Ops, lean a bit further back. The Young Bucks. Oh, I jumped up. My cat was on the bed. I screamed. I was so hysterical. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Oh, my God. I could see the comments from a mile off.
Oh, my fucking God, yeah.
If you haven't been, because the Young Bucks, they haven't been about for like 6 months. Matt Jackson, he's been traveling around. He's had to go on his Instagram travel page with his wife, don't you know? He's had bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know, they are my favourite tag team of all time. I think they're the greatest tag team of all time. There's the most embarrassing footage of me at Wembley, smashed out my face, screaming in an empty stall. Fucking Hawaii, let's go Young Bucks. Like,
yeah, go watch that video, guys. It's brilliant.
Don't. I am the number one young. Already 7,000 people too many have seen it. So because when we posted that as well, I just thought, oh, like a few people are gonna watch that. It's embarrassing, but only a few people who watch this channel are gonna watch it.
No big deal.
People still, it's because like you get the insights on YouTube. People still watch it now.
Yeah, it's creeping up that video. Yeah, our rolling vlog.
It's
yeah,
our most watched video.
Yeah, by far, by like a long way. So, if you've not seen that, go see it now, and you'll see what we're talking about, and you'll witness the passion for the Young Bucks in real time.
So much. I thought it was so funny. So because it's just so why
it's the ultimate troll move.
It is. It reminds me of before the Bloodline days, even when McMahon used to smash, spam Roman Reigns winning everything, and it used to
Uh,
piss me off. But then I just kind of got broken, and I just found it really funny. And this is
yeah,
kind of where I got to with this, where I think it doesn't hurt that I'm also a massive Young Bucks fan, but I just found this hilarious.
yeah. I mean, I
Like,
think
this is brilliant.
I was kind of in the same boat 'cause I was thinking, fuck me, this is what Estelle meant when she said wait until the very last minute. It's the best thing ever. And yeah, I
I
was
bet you're
just
like, for
like,
fuck's sake.
yeah, I was just like, what? I don't get it. It makes no sense. I don't know why they would do that.
It's
Um,
the trolls. They are just absolute like trolls.
and like yeah, what you said
It's
before,
so
when you
stupid.
think about how people are going to react to this, it makes it all more funny. Um,
I felt vindicated though. Because like, I've had to suffer, right? I've had a really shit time with it. My boy, Jay White, got fucked over in the Owen Hart again. This time he
yeah,
didn't even get to step in the ropes.
yeah,
Okay,
bless him.
then bloody, what do they call it? Meganolysis. Meganolysis Banius, whoever's coming in. I have to watch that.
Megasis.
The Yeah, the equivalent of Imagine Dragons, George Ezra shotgun in ring. I get to see the Young Bucks just troll everyone, and that was just really funny to me.
And no one goes home happy apart from you.
Yeah, like,
That,
I
my
got the last
friend,
laugh.
that is true vindication.
It really was. But anyway, moving aside from the meme, I guess it makes sense because like when they never didn't align with the Death Riders. They were always like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
we don't care about the Death Riders and we're off on holiday. And then they've just come back and
they didn't do anything. That's the whole point. Like, that's why people were annoyed at them. They didn't do a single fucking thing. And now they're just like, oh yeah, we want a piece of that. They see that's where the money is, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll sidle on up to that.
oh,
Um,
it's so stupid.
I mean, I can see why people are gonna hate it. Certainly can.
I mean, yeah, I mean, in a way, it kind of takes the heat off Mox, I suppose, and the Death
Yeah.
Riders because people can just hate on the Young
Well,
Bucks now.
yeah, actually, that was just the Young Bucks being very unselfish and just taking a
Yeah,
bullet for
taking
the
all the
team.
heat.
Yeah, they're just like, don't worry, Max. We'll save you from this. We'll take all the heat. That's what it was. They're really just locker room leaders.
For real, for real. Um, but yeah, obviously they're setting up for it seems like the final arc of Swerve and Hangman and the closure, and that will obviously be centered around the title. But then also, I guess it depends on who's going to win the Owen Hart because it might be the case whoever wins the Owen Hart goes against uh Moxley, which I mean you would suspect it to be Osprey
Yeah. Yeah, certainly.
because you want the most satisfaction, you want the babyface who wins to win and save the day. And I mean, who else
Yeah.
really you gonna? I feel like they could have really made a case for it to be Jay White because of his sort of he's
Mm,
kind of had a hand in it, um, or at the least run a program before they get to All In. But you know, he's not in the picture anymore. So
that's a real shame.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care, and I just find everything funny, and I'm broken.
Oh
I'm broken, and I'm just choosing
God.
to live, laugh, love it off
That's
because
where we're at,
I
fam.
ca I just can't be asked to deep the Death Riders anymore. I've done it
Yeah, I know,
every
right?
pissing week for the past however many months. I've talked about every avenue of it. I've said my piece on it, and now I'm just here to. I feel
Along for the
like
ride.
I feel like the captain in the Titanic when it's going down and he's just sort of walking through the ship and he's holding on to the steering wheel, is that what it's called? Of the ship and I'm just rocking out.
Wow, I mean that's a dark metaphor. So you think that AEW is a sinking ship? That's what you're saying.
I think I think many things.
Do you? Really? Wow, that's a surprise to me. I didn't think you. Me and you, we don't think. I don't actually think we do think many things between the two of us. There's one
I
brain
think
cell, and we pass
no.
it back and forth when we're
I
talking on
think
the podcast.
I agree, but I also think that we can't. We're in limbo, and we're not going to get what we want until Tony Khan does it Tony Khan's way. He's not going to. He could have wrapped it up tonight. He could have wrapped it up tonight, good lad. But he decided to
We
give
wrapped up a long
uh,
time ago.
the ending to the Young Bucks, who are like super high paid, super got mega X Pac, Sammy Guevara style heat. At this point, just make Sammy Guevara win the title. I don't know. But
Wow.
this is bad, isn't it? This is bad. This is bad. I should right. My point being, at the end of the day, we're in limbo and we can't get to all the shit that people want till we get through it, and we're not going to get through it until it's on Mr. Tony Khan's terms. So
Yeah.
you can kick, you can scream, you can cry about it, but you get what you're given. It's like when you
Yeah.
come home from school and the slow cooker's on. I'm 24. I don't come home from school. I don't know what I'm on about, but you know that meme, and it's like the slow cooker's on.
And your mum's making fucking hot pot for tea, and you're like, fuck my life.
But it's going to be hot pot for a little bit longer. But then you're going to get a really great takeaway. So just hang
Yeah.
on.
You're going to get fajitas sometime down the line, so just hold on.
I love fajitas. You're going to get some salmon. Salmon's off the menu for a while.
Yeah, because Jay White's on the shelf. Sad times. Well, I mean, yeah, we've just got to ride it out and hope there's going to be a satisfying ending. And yeah,
Which we've been saying for the past fucking months.
Yeah, and you know that we're just going to continue to say this and analyse everything from week. So that's the nature of this podcast. I think the most interesting thing to take away from this match was the Swerve and Hangman dynamic, and the fact that Hangman like hesitated to go for Swerve and went for Moxley instead. I think that's the most interesting thing, to be honest.
Like I said, I don't think it's not in the respect of I really care about you now.
Oh no,
I think he does deep down. He does deep down, but he's not
delusional
there
ass.
to acknowledge his feelings. It's more so like I said. I think it's more so the way of I want to do this right. I want to beat you in the right setting, but in a way that's a step up because it means he has respect for him.
Exactly.
Which he's probably not ready to acknowledge. Therapy sessions.
I love it. The fan fiction writes itself.
Truly.
And I just love everything about their relationship. So yeah, that's my main takeaway from that.
And the ops. That was just so bloody. Can we just go back to the ops?
Yes, because I did want to say this. I think they're going to be the next challengers for the trios championships. Now that's a draw. Book it.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. For sure. And hopefully, when we do get the pay-per-view that Mox loses the title at, which will probably be All In, for the love of God, book Willow versus Shafir on that.
Oh, I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being teased. I just want it now.
Oh, Athena versus Mercedes as well. Hopefully we'll have built up to that by then as well.
Oh, that's shaping up quite nice. But let's not get our hopes up because we'll probably end up being disappointed. 2 women's matches on the card that would actually be like really good. No, that's wishful thinking.
True, and we've got to fit in the Megan Bayne analysis. The Meg.
Yeah.
I will say though, she had a lovely spray tan.
Fair enough. Didn't notice.
I would say a lot of people had a lot of lovely spray tans. Like, normally there's a lot of bad spray tans, but
MJF is the worst for that. For someone needs to take the fake tan away from that man.
He goes to like Superdrug. He looks like a little chav. You know what I mean? Like, he's just orange. Yeah, just no high quality. Who's doing that man's spray tan?
Honestly, I think he does it himself. I really do.
Right,
well,
shall we rate it? Because we are just chatting absolute shite.
Yeah, like usual, it's descended into chaos. Let's wrap it up. What would you
How
give
can it not though from that ending? Instinctively a 7, but I think it should be lower. I think it should be a 7. A 7.
I agree with 7. That's where
maybe it should be higher.
No, I think 7 is perfect. because yes, there was good wrestling. It just wasn't dead impactful, was it?
It didn't have all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
It was just.
It
It was like a 4-hour Dynamite special.
I'll go with that. I'll go with 7. So do let us know in the comments. If you agree, would you give it higher? Are we being harsh? Maybe. Don't know. Interested to know what everyone else thinks. Are we gonna analyse the Death Riders in the comments? Don't know. Maybe. If you've got any thoughts about that, interested to know. But as always, thank you very much for listening to us ramble, chat shit. It's what we do best. Or worst, depending who you ask.
True.
And do go watch our last 2 videos. We ranked the entire AEW roster for the second time, 2025 update, and that was a lot of fun.
But it's a bit outdated that though now, because I was a bit annoyed because like FTR suddenly started popping off, and I'm like, because in that video we were like, for some people, I just, they just need to go and do something new, and then people started doing stuff new, and it's like, fuck, man.
Yeah, and we didn't rank the Young Bucks because we were like, they've not been anywhere for very long.
And they would have been in Elite. Imagine if I'd done it next week and could put them in Elite and have pissed even more people off. Oh, goddamn. Goddamn.
So yeah, I mean, the video is like 2 days old and it's already outdated. But go watch it anyway, please. Please. And please do subscribe, and if you've not already, or follow us. And leave a like, share with your friends. Do leave a 5-star rating on Spotify too, because that really helps us. And yeah, we really do appreciate you listening. So we'll see you next time.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night, bad.
I wish you died in the womb.